Varje år när vi skriver en agenda för att locka så många som möjligt utav er att komma hit till konferensen så kör vi alltid fast vid att formulera bra rubriker. Men jag kan säga er att den absolut snyggaste rubriken vi har fått av någon talare, den ska ni få höra precis nu. För håll i er, nästa talare har en presentation som heter Hidden Secrets of the Amazon. Det var väl fint? So many of you are thinking about what will happen when Amazon comes to Scandinavia. So of course we were very happy when we learned that one of our favorite speakers has done a lot of research on this subject. So please give a big hand to our friend, Mr. Bryan Eisenberg. First, Bryan. You were here at 2010.
Yep.
And if we look at the audience...
Well, we got to have some lights, because I can't see the audience.
Can you see any difference?
No, a little more lights. More lights, more lights, more lights. Let's see everybody. It's about twice as big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened a lot here.
That's good. It's a good sign.
We are so eager to hear your presentation. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, now, before I get started, we just want to keep the lights on, because you know, it's interesting, as a speaker at speaking so many conferences, the camera's always on me, but I realize that all conferences have nothing to do really about the speakers. It has to be about who's in the audience. So what I'd like to do is I'm actually going to put this on Twitter. I'm going to take a picture of everybody here in the audience. Okay? Let's see if we can get this. Well, almost everybody. We might have switch lenses. Hold on. We're going to go to the fisheye. Oh, there we go. Now we got everybody. Okay. And if you're here, you can look on Twitter either at my handle at the Grok or at the NES13, and tell me that you're here, so we can congratulate you, because you really are what make the show. I mean, we've had some great speakers, right? We've had a good day so far? So let's hear it for you and for everything that you guys bring to the presentation. So let me give this off to Duncan so you can take some quick pictures. Thank you. Okay. So yesterday, I had the fortune of also presenting a little bit about Steve Jobs. And I decided for the opening slide of the presentation to bring back this quote from Steve Jobs. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And it's interesting, when Amazon first came out, and I was first online, I started working online in the early 90s, just as Amazon was really rolling out. They launched their site in 1995. And into the mid 1998, 99, back when Boo.com was starting, all of that, I was not a fan of Amazon. I said, there's no way it could be successful. It just didn't make sense to me. Everything that they were doing, there was a lot of mistakes. They were doing a lot of interesting things like the one-click and stuff like that. But I said, they'll never make it. It's like, I was wrong. Because there's no question that this man is an absolute genius, okay? And the way he looks at companies is so fundamentally different than everyone else. And I think we have a lot to learn from what he's built into Amazon, and I'll tell you why we have to do it and why he's become so successful. I think one of the keys is he decided he was going to build a company that was focused in on the customers, on you guys, right? Not about the company. Every other company in the world to date, even if they say they're customer-centric, they're really product-centric, right? Their goal is to sell their products as often as much and as much of a profit as possible. But he said, look, we don't need to make a lot of profit. What we need to do is we need to understand the customer better than any other company ever in the history that existed. And there is no question that when you look at Amazon, how people feel about Amazon, okay, people love them, even though they capture more data on them than just about any other company in the world. Okay? But no one's ever going to feel like Amazon's violating them because they have all that data, right? It's because they really try to personalize the experience for you, give you great recommendations, right? There's a lot of things that they're doing is right. And so let's look at why they're so successful and what you can kind of do, because if they start knocking, you've got some serious challengers coming to the e-commerce market. So quick question. When you think of Amazon.com, what do you think of? Do you think of it as a retailer? Do you think of it as a B2B services company? Do you think of them as a publisher? Do you think about them as a TV studio or a movie studio? Which one? How many of you think of them that they do all of those things? They do every single one of those. This is what makes them super scary as a company. When you see how successful they are, and I'm going to talk mostly about the retail side today, but when you think about everything they've done, everything they've accomplished, every single one of their acquisitions, and this is only a few of them in their companies, is all about getting more data, right? The reason they bought Zappos is because it's a different type of company. They sell similar things. You can find the exact same shoes on Amazon that you can find on Zappos. You can find electronics on Zappos, but you're going to pay a higher price because they're going to give you a higher service. So it's very interesting to see how they've done all this, and again, how they use this data to become successful. Does anybody recognize that page? How many of you were around in online marketing that early? We got a few hands, okay. Yeah, so that was the original Amazon homepage. And if you think about Amazon when they first started out, right, what was their premise? They were going to sell books, right? He wanted to put millions of titles of books out there because he knew he could have unlimited inventory. And of course, from books went music. And so his early competitors were companies like Borders and Barnes & Nobles and Tower Records in the United States. And I look at these companies and say, I'm not surprised that he practically bankrupted every single one of those and put a couple of them out of business, right? The only one still kind of in business is Barnes & Nobles, okay? Because none of these companies were data-centric. They all relied on the old concept of merchandising, the relationships they had with publishers, and if you gave them a few dollars, they'd put your book in the front and on the end caps of the tables. And that's the way business was done forever in books. I said, no, it's understandable. But a few years later, they decided to add more categories on top of movies and CDs and all that. And they started competing against this company, probably one of the most data-centric companies before Amazon ever recorded. They have terabytes of data about products. They're more efficient. I think they do in the neighborhood of 400 something billion in sales, right? 900 9,000 locations in the world. Tremendous retailer. So why is it that Amazon is doing so much better than Walmart? And just to put this in perspective, last year, Amazon grew e-commerce sales by over 40%. How much do you think Walmart grew their e-commerce sales by last year? You want to take a guess? You're close, 8%. 5 years ago, the typical Walmart customer who's a person in the United States who earns under $50,000, almost nobody used Amazon.com. Last year, over 50% of the people have bought from both of them. You'd be concerned even if you're Walmart, right? This is a serious, serious, serious competitor. This is just to give you some perspective on numbers, okay? Amazon just tipped over the 40, almost $60 billion in sales right now. You can see Walmart's charts from the mid-90s, very, very similar growth curves. Actually, if you look at it in more details, you can actually see the full growth curves. Amazon is skyrocketing. So what's the difference? Is it really just this customer centricity? Is it just the use of data? No, Walmart does that too. There's a few things, and we're going to get there. In the United States, Amazon captures 30% of every e-commerce dollar that goes out there. 30 cents on every dollar gets spent at Amazon. It's tremendous, okay? Jeff Bezos has a philosophy. Okay, and I think it's a very interesting philosophy. It's one of his brilliant quotes. Two kinds of companies. Those that work to charge more and those that work to charge less. One will be second. If Amazon did nothing, if all of a sudden it charged the same as everybody else out there, because of the way they've used data to optimize all their operations, to optimize everything they do, the way they optimize their internal resources, and I'll show you some examples of that in a few moments, they're 5 to 13% cheaper than any other company can be, the top retailers. 5 to 13% cheaper. So they're always going to beat on price. Now, it could also be that they were one of the first people to leverage social commerce. Those of you who might have been here when I did my 21 secrets to top converting websites, how many of you were here when I did that presentation? Just curious. Handful of you. Might remember this site. It's one of my favorite reviews from Amazon. This is for a product some of you may know. It's called Milk. But what's interesting about this product is that they have over 1,100 reviews for a product they don't sell. Yet, they're just starting in the grocery business in Seattle. They'll eventually get to other parts of the market. Don't worry, they're going to get that market as well, just as Walmart did. But what's interesting is as you go through all the reviews, you get some great ones like this one. Make this your only stock in store. Once upon a midday sunny, while I savored nuts and honey with Tuscan whole milk, 1 gallon, 128 fluid ounces, I swore. As I went on with my lapping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at the icebox door. And it's a whole long poem that goes on forever. And what's interesting about this one is that 1,844 out of 1,871 people found this review useful. Now, who here on their website has a lot of reviews? Okay, how many reviews does your most reviewed product have? 200. A product they don't sell has over 1,100 reviews. And it's just not the amount of people they have. It's how long they've been doing this. It's what they do to reviews that are so brilliant. By the way, here's another one of my favorites. One Friday Without the Milk. This one's written as a romance novel. I'm not going to read each one because they'll take us forever. But definitely just go ahead, look at Tuscan whole milk, and you'll see a whole bunch of these. This is great. But my favorite one is this one. So this one's short. I can read this one. It's called Serious Problem, that 296 out of 314 people found useful. This product copiously leaks out of my nose whenever I read these reviews. Okay, but to put this in perspective, 20% of people buy products on Amazon because they start looking for reviews first, right? They go to Amazon before they buy anything to look at reviews. And one of the key things Amazon did very early on, it was a huge user experiment for them, is they decided to test not just having the reviews, but they knew people weren't going to read every single one of these, but they listed which one was the most helpful review, positive, and which was the most helpful review, negative. So if you can see both sides, it gave you a sense of whether it was the right product for you or not. Okay? They keep experimenting with more ways to do this. And this is certainly one factor that has made them successful. They understood the power of word of mouth before most companies even were thinking about it. Okay. But I think this is the core to why Amazon is so successful. In his last letter to shareholders this past year, he talked about the long-term investments that Amazon has done in order to improve the customer experience. Because at the end of the day, improving conversion rates, improving the customer experience is a long-term investment. And that's why they're willing to wait years to get profits until they get there. And what they've done is they've organized their company under two main areas. So not only the most customer-focused company, but they continuously use all the data they get to optimize every aspect of their business: risk, finance, operations, and marketing. Everything gets optimized. And then lastly, and I think this is the most important part about using data that most people miss, is that they have the corporate agility to act on the data. Because data, by its nature, is often dirty, right? How many people have gotten data and seen that it's been wrong and you've made a wrong decision based on data? Happens all the time. If any of you have ever had to reconcile your pay-per-click with your analytics, you know that data is dirty, okay? But the ability to react, and then react quickly to data, is critical, and I'll show you some examples of how they do that. So the key is understanding who your customer is. Jeff Bezos said, if there's one reason we have done better than our peers in the internet space over the last 6 years, and this was in 2001, it is because we have focused like a laser on the customer experience. Everything from one-click, reviews, everything that they've done. But they manage their business on 4 key inputs. That's it. Okay, I've talked to a whole bunch of people who worked there for years. This is all they focus on. Number 1, selection. In any category you pick on Amazon, they have at least 7 times the amount of products that any of their competitors do. So if you sell 50, they're going to sell 350 of the same items. Okay? So they have more selection than anybody else out there in the world. Price, like I told you earlier, they're 5 to 13% lower than their top 5 competitors in any category they start competing in. Availability. Only Apple is more interesting than this. Apple turns over their inventory 74 times in a year. Very few products, that's not a big deal. But they turn their inventory over 20 times. Walmart, 7.4 times. Most of their products ship within one zone. So that means it's coming from a warehouse right next to you. 90% of their orders. So it's either going to get to you the next day or the following day if they want it. that quick. Okay, so that's what makes them so impressive, and they keep building out more distribution locations so they can make sure that they can have it to you that same night in the next few years, right? They can bring you groceries, they can do all. This is where they're going. And then lastly, customer experience. And according to the American Customer Satisfaction Index, which does a benchmark of all these companies, they're 13% higher than all of the rest of their peers, consistently. Here you can see some of their numbers. So again, Jeff Bezos' philosophy. If you make customers unhappy on the internet, they can tell each 6,000 friends. He said this before the age of social media. Just to put this in perspective, how far thinking he was. Every employee, even the CEO, and I'm curious, how many of you are doing this in your company, spends 2 days every 2 years on the service desk to answer problems and complaints? How many people have seen the news in the last day that Marissa Myers was solving email problems for people yesterday? CEO of Yahoo. Okay, how many of you are CEO of your e-commerce company? Raise your hand. How many of you have been on the service desk this past year? 2 hands, 3 hands. That's what makes them deadly. We're not doing these things. Okay, another interesting thing. 2/3 of their sales come from repeat customers. What % of your sales are coming from repeat customers? They know how to keep customers better than anybody else on the internet. Beautiful thing. Here's what's interesting. Everyone talks about having to have free shipping. Does Amazon have free shipping? Not really. They charge you $79 a year to be a Prime member. And you get free second-day shipping, and usually they try to get it to you faster if they can. But they've also added other benefits to it, which is access to all their electronic books and now all their streaming movies, because they're going to get into that business. Everybody's talking about, the Apple TV and all that. I'm more concerned about, how many of you have a Kindle? Just curious. Or use the Kindle app? Okay, imagine when that all of a sudden is on your TV set, and they know all the content you enjoy, and they can bring it right to you. They'll be there just in a few years. Do they offer the Amazon Prime Video player here? No, not yet? Just wait. They're now producing their own shows. Very impressive. There's a great slide share. I recommend everybody go through this. I just didn't want to spend a lot of time on it. By a company called Faber-Castell, and it's called How Amazon Dominates E-commerce. And I like to talk about Amazon being what I call the original big data Moneyball success story. And the reason being is, like I said, when they first started, there was no reason they should have beat out Barnes & Nobles and Borders, but they did because they weren't data-driven. But now they're beating out Walmart. Why is that? What is it that's making them so successful? Walmart does a lot of the same things. And I have a couple of theories. Number one, web data is better than in-store data. How many of you are tracking actual behavior step-by-step inside stores? Almost nobody is, right? On the web, they can track every click, every mouse movement, everything, okay? So I think that's critical. Two, I think the fact that they can act so fast online and make changes quickly makes them much more efficient than most other companies can be. And so I think this is part of the reason why they've been incredibly successful. Now, the other part that's interesting is if you actually take a look at the Amazon product page, and I was joking with people over breakfast this morning, there are more ads on this page than people give it credit for. I think it's something like 8 or 9 ads on this page. But as you scroll through the page, there's all these things that people look at Amazon as giving them features of their product page that are just data-driven widgets. Here's one. So one of the things they offer you is if you place an order by 3 p.m. today, you'll have it by Saturday morning, okay? What they're doing in real time is calculating where are you in what part of the country, do they have that inventory of that product in the warehouse, what else is in your shopping cart, what else you're likely to buy, because they're making predictions on that, just in order to coordinate that, to tell you that to buy it on time. All data-driven. By the way, when people see that message, conversion rates go up between 4 and 6 times. Okay? Huge impact. Customers who bought this, bought that, data-driven widget, right? They're creating bundles out of that. Customers who bought all these items also bought all the rest of these items, data-driven widget. As you keep scrolling down the page, this is one of the most beautiful ones. I haven't seen almost any retailer copy this feature. And I had a small friend of mine, they sell toys online, just copy this little widget. They increased their traffic by 50%. What is this widget doing? It's brilliant. So on the left side, it says all the related items. You know what those are? Semantically related searches, similar to the one that you came to from that page. So they're giving other relevant queries right there. So of course, when Google spiders the page, you're like, oh, well, if it's not this, it could be something like that. And then, of course, all the related items. It's very cool. Then as you keep going, there's more and more features. So I'm not going to go into every one. So here's some of the things that Amazon does. In 2004, and I'm going to share with you some slides from a presentation I saw by my friend Ronnie Kohavi, Amazon was doing over 200 A/B tests at any given time. Just to put that in perspective, my friend Ronnie, who's now at Bing, just started doing 200 tests at Microsoft. They just got to that level. They were doing that at Amazon in 2004. The average retailer, okay, does somewhere between 2 and 5 tests a month. They're doing 200. So I'm not that good at math, but if you do 5 and they do 200, how much smarter are they getting every month? Right? Pretty scary. Okay. So these are some slides from Ronnie Kohavi's presentation from 2004. Almost nobody has seen this since 2004. And here's what makes it work. Number one, in 2004, he realized that organizational structures were broken. You can't work in big committees. You need cross-functional teams of business people, tech people, marketing people, merchandising people who work together in small teams who have their own clear metrics, their own clear goals, and they can make decisions independently of having to go up to a senior manager. And these small teams can execute very, very quickly and very, very efficiently. Okay, really important. Now, in most organizations that I have worked with, and I've seen when they think about the challenges and try to catch up, whenever we think of marketing technology, like the type of stuff that Amazon's been building, we think of the tools, but we oftentimes forget about the importance of the people in the process. And when we look at most organizations, okay, and by the way, everybody know who Jack Welch is? The former CEO of GE? I think it's a very important quote that he talks about here. What I see in most organizations, where the struggles are, and I think someone from the conference here tweeted out a post about the problems of silos. I saw it in the stream, right? How many of you have work silos, different departments who don't work together? How many of you have data silos within your organization? The people maybe who have the offline stores don't work with the people in the online stores, right? Silos kill the business today. The revolution of social media is that's going to kill silos because you can't operate in social media with silos. 2, you need to have corporate agility. You can't wait for 3 layers of manager's approval to get things done. I was hanging out with Scott Cook, the CEO and former chairman of Intuit, you know, the people who make Quicken and QuickBooks and all that. And he said the new role of today's leadership is to remove the barriers to experimentation for your teams. You have to let teams experiment. And then lastly, you have to be able to figure out how to work in real time, right? We know that. I mean, real time today is becoming so critical. Back when web analytics first started, I used to laugh at people who said, oh, I can give you real-time data. No one needed it. Today, you need it, and you need to learn how to operate in real time. That's what makes organizations that survive cultures in such a dramatic situation that we're seeing today, in such a revolution that we're seeing today. And so the question is, how agile are you? If they're doing the 200 tests a year, right, whoever's doing more tests is just learning more. How easy is it for you to do tests on your site? Fairly easy? Okay. Do you do somewhere around 100 tests a month? 20? I won't put you on the spot. But the reason they do so many tests, it's not because of what you think of. It's not because, yes, Amazon has tons of traffic. It's because they're smart about their testing. They don't test lots of variations. Here's an example of a test I caught in action. So this was their original product description page. By the way, anything above the fold on this page is not allowed to be tested without Jeff Bezos' permission. It's the only thing that's a weird rule in Amazon, okay? Because they perfected this so much. But there was a hypothesis, and their hypothesis was simple. If we make it easier for people to see the price and that the fact that items in stock, will they improve conversion rates? Will they sell more? And so they didn't come up with a million variations of sizes and colors and all of that. They came up with an A and a B. That's it. So which one is easier to tell the price and if it's in stock? The first image or the second image? Second image. How long, and you can see how big of a difference one to the other one is, how long do you think it took Amazon to figure out that this was a more successful test? I mean, with their traffic, probably in hours, right? But you should be able to tell when you do something that dramatic, right? It's not like they tested 8 different colors of in-stock messaging. They picked green. Big go color. The only interesting thing, by the way, is that you'll notice they changed the headline, And then if you look on the Amazon site today, the headline's still black because the brand police said, nah, too many colors, let's get rid of it. But otherwise, they made a decision that quickly. Here's another little test that they've been experimenting with. If you go ahead and you start looking at very expensive items, like large screen TVs, and I've only caught this a few times, and you look at several of them, they'll pop up this thing now that says, okay, if you need help making a decision about the product, give us a call. You can't call Amazon for anything, practically. They have to call you. But for this, they're willing to take a chance. And they show you which item you were viewing, so when you call them, they know exactly how to communicate with you. Okay? Very simple, big test is what they focus on. This is another one I've shown in many of my books, right? This is the buttons Amazon has tested over the year. And while they may be subtle, each one was a big difference at the time, right? If you, oh, sorry, I went too fast. If you look at that first button, you notice this was in the late 90s. They had the big lock. They had the shopping with us is safe. You're buying from Amazon. On the button, you can always remove it later. Here, they kept it, but now they added the one click. Here, they tried to shrink it down. They removed the lock. People weren't as worried, right? Every single time, it's still a significant change from one to the other. By the way, the shapes and color of their button have never changed. Never changed. It's not you'll never see a square button on Amazon. It's always a circle with a rectangle combined. You know why? Anybody here a designer? Anybody? Somewhere out there? Someone back there is. Regular shapes create banner blindness. So when we see rectangles and squares, we ignore them. So when you create things that don't stand like regular shapes, we pay more attention to them. So now you're all going to change your buttons, okay? Okay, here's an example of how fast they execute. 2 hours after Michael Jackson passed away, they completely reconfigured their MP3 store. Now think about it. If this was in Walmart, the best they can do is someone in their creative department can create banners or displays, and they can send it to the store. Maybe they can get it there in 2 days. How many millions did they make because they can react in 2 hours? And you know why it took 2 hours? Because the second someone hits push this live, it has to go to India, and it takes 2 hours for the process to Q&A so they can push it live. So in other words, they probably already had some of this creative in-house. Someone saw it on Twitter that he died, confirmed it, pushed it, and they were live. How many of you could call a meeting in 2 hours and couldn't get it done? But they can change a whole store. Does everyone see why you should be a little afraid of Amazon? Yeah. Okay. I don't remember a black slide. Okay. I want to scare you a little more. These are a couple of other slides from their presentation from 2004. And he talked about some of the tools they were having. By the way, nobody but Amazon talks about this stuff anymore. It's amazing that I was able to even find this one. So they talk about this new system that they had. Listen to what it did. Automatically, in other words, no people, optimizes content to improve customer experience. So it's picking different pieces of content from different products to figure out which one worked the best. Wait, more. Avoid sending an email campaign that has a low click-through or high unsubscribe rates. Anybody here work for an email provider? Come on, it's got to be somebody. Sarah, you know anybody here who works for an email provider? Come on, we're going to pick on them. Seriously, how many of you have sent a campaign and would love a feature that if all of a sudden, if you know your average click-through rate is 3%, and your email campaign is only getting a 1.5%, that it should stop the campaign now and tell you? How many of you would like that feature? Why would you keep sending it? Right? It just doesn't work. Okay, let's start something new. That's what they were doing in 2004. I don't know an ESP that's doing this today. That frightens me. Okay, hold on. Why does it keep going black on me? It's scaring me here. There we go. Okay. So one of the things that, one of the tools out there today that you can get off the shelf, and what's cool is that people are starting to develop technologies like Amazon's. So Monetate, which I happen to be on the board of advisors, is now able to take all the data that you have in your CRM, but also plug into external data sources like those from Blue Kai and X+1 and other things. So any visitor who comes to your website, they can figure out and personalize the experience, just like Amazon does, based on all that behavior. So instead of someone anonymous, right, I can actually turn it into a real-time person and know exactly who's there and customize every bit of the flow of their experience. okay? And they make it easy to create campaigns and test, right? The average, and by the way, all it is just filling out simple words on their interface. Super simple. Their average customer does somewhere between 59 tests a month. There's one customer who launched 600 campaigns in 60 days from signing up. That's where you need to be if you want to be able to be competitive. You've got to change the way you're thinking and thinking quickly. Monetate also has things like visual search, which I don't know why every other site has never thought of this beforehand. Even Amazon doesn't have this, but this is cool. You start searching, it starts doing the predictive search, but also shows you the pictures of the images from the products that are related to what you're searching for. It's kind of cool. They also do badging and a whole bunch of other really cool technology. Okay, I'm going to put this in perspective for you again, just an Amazon thing. Most websites have a very serious problem. So I own an iPhone 5. Anybody here own an iPhone 5? Okay, great. So SEO Moz and Experian came up with a study, and they said that there are 627 different ways to talk about an iPhone 5 case. 627. So I'm going to ask you a question. Would you build out, if you're a retailer, 627 different pages for the iPhone case? Probably not, right? It's a real serious problem. 7 out of 10 searches online are long-tail searches. In fact, when you look at Google's data, there are 450 billion unique searches since the beginning from Google started. Every day, 16% of searches have never been done before, ever. And here's the problem. When Google thinks about quality score, okay, they think about the exact phrase to the exact landing page. So if I'm looking for an iPhone case that has blue sequins and a dolphin on it, and you don't take me to a page that has that, you failed. Get it? Now, just to put this in perspective, Amazon has about 303 million pages indexed in Google. They never retire a product page. They just update it. Yes, there is no e-commerce platform that makes it easy for people to do that today. That's why Amazon built their own proprietary ones. They spend on AdWords somewhere around $55 million, and I've always said they're among the best PPC advertiser of all time. And here's why. 2004, let's remember this, they had a system, automatic program, that generated the keywords, that wrote the ads, that determined the landing page and managed the bid based on all the different dimensions that mattered to them. In 2004. Anybody doing that now? I think about this. This was 10 years ago. How far ahead? What are they doing now? They must be thinking about it like how to do like Star Trek transporters to bring food into your house, because I can't imagine the technology. Really, I can't fathom that technology that they were 10 years ago. And I'd seen this presentation 20 times, and I never understood this until I prepared this presentation this past week. So there are technologies today that you can buy off the shelf, and I don't know if they're available here or not, but I want to tell you, just to give you kind of perspective, people are building out these tools commercially today. Because of big data technologies, it's become easier to do this, right? Amazon was just a leader. That'll take all the information about your products that you have internally, plus external data, and figure out the search demand. It'll interpret all that with natural language processing, prioritize the pages, and it'll create or optimize a current page with those related searches. So the product page will have those two little widgets on there, and it self-optimizes. Or it can create a brand new page. So for example, when Neiman Marcus wanted to be competitive, because let's say, Sarah, you wanted to buy an A-line dress, maybe a short A-line dress that's black, that had sequins on it, you would never be able to find it beforehand. So what they've been able to do for someone like a Neiman Marcus is generate over 143,000 unique pages in less than 6 months. How long would it take you to generate 143,000 unique pages? You need these technologies. You need to use the data to be able to do this. Because we can't scale up with people anymore. It just doesn't exist. So we need to figure out how to do this. People need to review it. But the machine is creating it today. Another problem. How many of you sell products, right? Products all have attributes. There are lots of ways to describe this product. You don't necessarily know which one's going to do the best in terms of an ad. So what you can do today with a company like Datapop, Also using natural language processing, they can figure out the target of all the different searches you're going to do, figure out the best URL to send them to, figure out all the different ways you want to sell it. Then they'll figure out all the ways that people are talking about the product and all the different ways that you might want to generate offers to create the perfect message. And it'll test it over scale. And it could do thousands of these in minutes. Okay? And so what you'll see is, for example, if I type in Louis Vuitton handbag, it'll start getting understanding of things that happen. So it knows if it's a luxury brand and a women's fashion category, that it may want to talk about colors, because the machine has learned that when you talk about colors, it helps conversion rate. So what they may do is create an ad that says, Louis Vuitton handbags, stylish Louis Vuitton handbags in 18 colors like turquoise and red. And yes, that improves conversion rates significantly. Okay, a couple of other technologies. How many of you offer discounts on your website? Okay. So Runa is a company, a big data company. It used to be a plugin for Miva and Magento. Then one guy, named by Faisal, brought it into eBay, asked them, could you scale it out? And so now they do a tremendous amount for eBay. I can't even talk about the numbers that they're doing for eBay. It's ridiculous. But for eBay, they're doing their fast and free shipping. Who gets free shipping? But one of the things that they found out in their study is that when, let's say you offer a 10% discount on your website, you're lucky if that generates about 8% in sales, 9% in sales. Lucky. So you're hoping that you make it back over multiple times the lifetime value of the customer. Maybe, maybe not. What they do is personalize offers. Not everybody gets the Amazon Prime or the free shipping or the coupon or the gift card or whatever it is, right? They figure out if you need it or not. They can calculate based on a whole bunch of different percentages and over 90 different variables what exactly needs to happen, whether you qualify for an offer. And so they give up less than 3% margin to achieve a 19% increase in sales. And yes, they're available internationally. I know that because they're already working in France. They're working a bunch of different retailers besides eBay. Okay. So what do? You tell it the maximum discount you're ever willing to give. And then you decide all the different product categories, if there are exceptions, things like that. And what it does is it tracks everything as the visitor is going through the site, even the way they're moving their mouse, to determine whether they should get an offer or not, right? And then it shows different kinds of offers. So I kind of just want to sum this up of what Amazon's doing and the technologies that you could use today off the shelf, or that hopefully people here will also build similar ones. Datapop is writing the ads the same way Amazon was doing in 2004, because you can't write all great ads. Google looks for fresh ads, good click-through rates. You need to do it. Hard to do it with people. You need relevant landing pages. Well, you can't have every single one if you're not building every single one out. So today, you can use technologies like Monotone in the background to create all the different variations for you, personalize it based on the behavior of the customer, put different offers on there, different campaigns you're running, whatever it is. You can then, of course, have to have reviews. Okay, reviews are bar none. You have to, you can use something like Bazaar Voice. Okay, and you can see reviews are everywhere on every single one of their landing pages, every single one of their product pages. You can use Bloomreach to self-optimize the content and the products that are coming on this page. You can use tools like Rich Relevance to make sure that you have the right combinations of products on there. You can use Runa to figure out what offers you should be having on the page. And then as they get to the landing page, again, you can use Monotone to test it and move things around and figure out the right offers and campaigns. You can use Bazaar Voice, and you see it's the second most detailed item right after the headline of the product. Right? Rich Relevance for the bundles. Runa for all the offers that you can have, free shipping, the price, what's the price of a bundle, it'll self-optimize that. All the related searches, again, you'd use Bloomreach for that. And as you scroll down, you use your reviews, of course, there you can find Bazaar Voice. This is all Amazon has built internally that for the first time ever in 10 years, now all these kind of technologies that they have, we're kind of using. By the way, someone asked me, and I only have a few minutes left, someone asked me, what do I think about social media? I'm a big fan. I love social media. You'll find me on there. Again, you can look at the Grok. You'll find me on Facebook. You'll find me on LinkedIn. But I spoke about Apple yesterday. Apple's one of the most talked about companies on social media, but they're not active on it. Amazon, are they active in social media? Nope, but one of the most talked about companies. Just keep that in perspective. I'm not going to say more. So again, here are all the different companies that you can use. So is this the last chapter? Where is Amazon going? Well, I think he said it best. He's not near the end of his story. There's a lot more that he's yet to accomplish. But I think you guys have a couple of very big factors in your benefit today to be able to compete with Amazon. Number one, they don't understand the Nordic countries. They don't understand the Nordic people the way you guys do as retailers. You have to use that to your advantage. The other thing that Amazon doesn't have, okay, is it doesn't understand physical store stuff. It never did. And there's a whole new breed of technology coming out today. Companies like Nomi, Retail Next. Retail Next will take, you know, those little dome cameras that are in stores, and they'll create heat maps of where people are going in the stores. But Nomi will go ahead and they'll track with wireless phones how many people are walking by your store, what they're doing. So you can listen to what's happening, how many people are engaging in the store, how many people are going to different areas of the store and stuff like that, how many people are connecting to guest Wi-Fi. Is it popular to have guest Wi-Fi here in a lot of the bigger stores?
So.
See, in the United States, in all the, especially in women's shops, right, they all have guest Wi-Fi. You know why? So the men can find a chair, sit, and be on the internet while the wife is out shopping. It's been great for them. And then Nomi will measure all the different things. They can do A/B tests. They can correlate it with your advertising. This is stuff that Amazon can never do. And you can use, and by the way, this is a very affordable technology. I know stores of one store that are using this today. And then it can give you a whole view so you can start targeting these people as they enter the store. You can do all kinds of cool things with it. Okay. I have 1 minute left. And I want to give you the harsh reality. I don't know exactly when Amazon's going to be here. But I know one thing, that what they've done is truly revolutionary in the state of commerce. Nobody's ever done what they're doing and what they've already done. And my biggest fear is that many of you are sitting here today and have heard a lot of what I've spoken about. You've seen some of the things that they've done, some of the competitive, and there's more. We're going to be putting together a whole big white paper on this. So if you want to email me, or there's a new site that we're launching called Use the Data, where you'll actually be able to get the ebook that I'm writing just about this right now. So if you subscribe, you'll get the first notifications. I'll make sure you get it. The biggest challenge you have is, are you willing to shake up your company so much to destroy the silos, to get the leadership to buy in, to be so data-driven, to change to a real-time culture that you're going to be able to compete once they're in here? Because you have, no matter what, a year or two a head start before they start capturing and getting all the data on your customers. That's all it's going to take. Scary. How many of you are willing to do that? And that's my biggest fear. So I'm hoping many of you at least now know what you need to do. The challenge is getting it done. So I wish you the best of luck with that.
Thank you. Any questions, Anders?
Well,
Maybe a couple.
I just feel like someone just run me over.
I got to tell you, as I was researching this, I felt the same way because, you know, yes, you know, I'm a big Amazon buyer. I've loved them for a long time. I shop for everything from there, from vitamins to, you know, my son's, you know, gets an extra drink. I've bought groceries and I mean, all kinds of stuff from them. So it's crazy. But when I started looking at the numbers and the growth and how it's compared to Walmart, some of these things just shocked me. And then, of course, when I saw these numbers from 2004 and what they were doing technology-wise.
But it sounds like Amazon will take over and it will, and brands will be there. But as a retailer, I could lay down and die. What should I do? I mean, I live off selling stuff.
I think that's a great question. So I think what's happening, and I've heard I was last week in Nashville at the IBM Smarter Commerce Conference. And a lot of people are talking about this. The problem is you need to figure out how to bring the digital into your physical world, right? Because in the online world, no, you're not going to compete. It's going to take you too much. But people love to shop in stores. Online is still only 5% of retail sales. That's it, 5.4%. So most of the shopping is still done offline. And if we can bring the technology, so if Walmart all of a sudden started having digital displays everywhere where they can change messaging in store quickly, like Michael Jackson died, they can show it, big sale, Michael, boom, they'd be more effective. But they've got to get all of that transition happening. And we have to start thinking that way strategically at this point.
But you talk about the testing mentality.
Yep.
And, you know, we all understand that. Testing is good. But how do we get started? What's the first thing that we should do when we step out of here?
So it's interesting. I learned more about getting companies testing from losing the 100 pounds, or the 40 kilos I lost 4 years ago, and I've kept off ever since. And the secret's very simple. Do you know, everyone know what the secret is to losing weight? Does anyone know? Eat the right things, move more. That's it. But you've got to do it every day. You have to create it into a habit. And it's got to be every part of your life, right? Every decision you make, you've got to be thinking about it. Because it's so easy to make the mistake once and then keep the cycle going, right?
So what should we stop doing? Stop eating?
No, so we have to test where it's easy to test. So I guarantee you, if I went to all of your pay-per-click accounts today, how many of you have tests running for over 50% of your ads today? Look around. You're talking about 100 characters or less, and you guys aren't doing it. So if you can't get testing done with only 100 characters, forget about changing pages and websites, with simple text ads, how are we going to get that culture? So you got to dive into the muscle and bone of the company, every little detail, every nook and cranny. And you have to have buy-off from the leadership. It's got to be the C-level executives who give people the opportunity and the structure to fail and to experiment, because oftentimes we're compensated on meeting exact goals, so we don't support that we've got to do that in order to become successful. And it's a different type of thinking. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do.
Dan or Lena, any questions from you?
Yeah, actually in the beginning, you started to talk about the diversified services that Amazon
Yep.
are offering. For example, Amazon Web Services.
Yep.
As far as I know today, that's a really, really small part of the revenue. I think it's over 90% that is still generated by traditional e-commerce and
Yep.
sale of physical goods. What do you foresee? How important is that going to become for them in the future?
Don't think about it, the revenue. What's the data they get from hosting things like Twitter and Dropbox and all these other services that are using Amazon Cloud Services? What's the data they have? Data. Data is the new currency, right? It used to be that in marketers and direct marketing, we used to say the money's in the list. And it is. We still have to think about capturing email lists and stuff like that. But the real money, and we see it by their growth, is in the use of the data.
When will they enter the Nordic countries and Sweden?
The rumor is any day now.
But they've been saying, everybody's been saying that for 3 years now. So,
believe me, they want world domination. He's not going to stop it. He'll be here. Don't,
yeah, okay. What do you think?
Don't wish it too fast for them.
No,
I think they're all like shaking in their boots.
I'm punishing myself as well. But what's holding them back? Why aren't they just launching it if they're so fast?
Oh, I'm sure it's political. It's, you know, there's legislation issues. You can't move governments faster than governments want to move, right? So I think that's more of the issue. It's not lack of desire, because, you know, they have plenty of capital. They can go into any country they want, as long as the country's open to it.
But Bryan, it sounds like we're heading toward a monopoly. And will not the government then break the company up?
Is anybody trying to break up Walmart?
But it has happened in the US, that they have broken up monopolies, for sure.
Yes. And again, it's when the people feel that it's become evil, right?
Yeah.
I believe there's going to be problems with Facebook long term.
Yeah.
Again, any organization that lets you target people by the amount of toilet paper they use, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay? I've never met anyone who has anything bad to say about Amazon. And I think this is the problem, right? It's almost like the same definition of, that we have in the United States whenever someone asks, you know, what's pornography? They say, I don't know what it is, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. And it's the same thing with the use of data, right, in terms of being an invasion of privacy. We know it's an invasion when it feels bad. And Amazon knows never to cross that line. And they're so careful about it. I don't see where we're going to get a bad sense. Companies will fight against them, right, because they'll be afraid of them. But from a customer, people love Amazon. That's why they have the highest scores of any retailer ever.
Thank you so very much for
You're
coming.
very welcome.
Bryan.
Thank you so much.
Fly safe back home.
And thank you all.
Yeah.